Hi, thank you so much for tuning in. In the last episode, we talked about a few of the first steps in doing your due diligence on a land seller. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how to finish that off and make sure you're good to go. You're watching On Land in Kenya, and I'm Solomon Wangwe. Great, so you have made sure that you got your land seller to meet with you in person. You got the original ID, a certified copy of the PIN certificate, you viewed the original title deed, and you also met the land seller's spouse or spouses and every child over the age of 18. And by the way, you should also get all the original documents for all those children in the same way that you did for the seller. The next thing you want to make sure you do is to cross-check the validity of all those documents with all the relevant government offices. And I know, again, a lot of people don't know that you can do these things. And we didn't know starting out. We kind of learned along the way over the last 5 years doing our own due diligence. For example, when you get a copy of the land seller's ID, you can quickly cross-reference its authenticity by checking with the National Registrar of Persons. Their offices are typically located at the NSSF building in Nairobi. They used to be able to do this online, but after a while we were never able to do it. So we have to do it physically. You write a formal letter asking for them to authenticate the details or the particulars on a specific ID, and you can give the reason for that. Very simply, you're doing your due diligence on a property. You want to make sure that you're dealing with the actual person. The one reason this is important, and I've shared this before in one of our previous episodes, is that people very often get conned because these documents can be manipulated. I personally was involved in a situation where we had bought land from a particular family. A few years later, when we were selling a portion of the land, one of our buyer's lawyers, in the process of the due diligence, was unable to obtain a search report because the criminal investigation department had frozen the documents for this particular property. And the reason they gave was that there was a fraud investigation ongoing regarding that property. As it turned out, someone else had original documents, original title deed for the piece of property that was unsubdivided when we bought, and they were transferring it to someone else. Long story short, a third party had paid up to 10 million shillings to someone purporting to be the owner of the property that we had bought. And they saw a national ID with all the watermarks, all the details checked out as far as the names and the ID number are concerned, matching with the title deed, a fake title deed. And because they hadn't actually met this person before, they didn't know what they were supposed to look like, they proceeded with the transaction. Ever since then, every time we obtain copies of national IDs for sellers and even sometimes for buyers, we run a cross-reference with a National Registrar of Persons to make sure that the information and the images that they have on file match the physical ID that we have seen. I know it's sad that we have to go through these lengths to avoid fraud in our land transactions, but it's simply the reality. And it's important for you to know so that you can protect yourself. So that's the first thing you would do. Second thing you'll need to do is cross-reference the person's PIN number with the Kenya Revenue Authority. This is a much easier thing to do. You can simply go to KRA's web portal. They have a section on the left side of their portal where you can check a PIN number. You can simply enter the PIN number and it'll pull out the details. Hopefully, they will match the details on the copy that you have. Very important thing to do. The other thing you will need to do is get all those documents to a lawyer who can compile a file for you so that along every step of the process, you're building up this data that will help you clean up the transaction properly when you close. Please don't forget that information. It's very critical. You want to make sure that you're dealing safely with the actual landowner and that you're not getting conned or defrauded. I hope this information helps. If you have any more questions about this process, if there's anything that needs clarification, please feel free to reach out to us. You can do so by checking us out at www.goshenacquisitions.com. All our social media platforms are up and running as well. You've been watching Own Land in Kenya. I'm Solomon Wangwe. Stay tuned for more information on strategic land investment.